Mics are on. Let's do a call to order. I got 12:33. Does that sound like you? 12:30. Okay, let's do pledge of allegiance. Oh. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, could we have a roll call, please, Clerk Turner? Let's see, there. Trustee Detman. Present. Trustee Monet. Here. Supervisor Bertrand. I am here. Clerk Kern here. And Treasurer House. Here. Here. All here. Okay. We are on a real time constraint here. I would ask the board, I'll make a motion that we move board comments to after Parks and Rec so that we can get this going and Amanda can meet her other appointments. I have no other changes for the agenda. So I'll make a motion that we move board comments to after the Parks and Rec public hearing. Do we have a second? Second for the point of discussion. Okay, we have a second discussion. Yeah, the website as well as the Facebook page lists that as only a Parks and Rec report and that the public hearing is going to be Friday. I'm not sure how that happened. We have since 12:15, the master plan was on the public review in our desk, posted for public review on Lyon Twnship webpage, in the local newspaper since 12:23 for a 3-week run. I personally saw it on the webpage as the public hearing here. I don't know what's there today. I have run this all by the attorney and going to make an attempt to proceed. The issue is whether or not on the motion, if there's any other comment on the motion to move the board comments. So after Park and Rec, please speak up if you do. Well, yeah, the rest of the comment was that the work session is scheduled at 12:30, and you came in and we talked about it. You said, well, can we have a report from them and then have the big meeting on Friday? That's what we agreed on, the two of us. No, that was not what I said. Well, you're saying no, and I'm saying yes. We have a difference of opinion. Meeting Friday is to have final approval by the Park and Rec Committee of this 5-year master plan drafts. The public hearing is today. The final version from them approving it to send on to the board would be Friday, but it would also take into account comments that are heard today in this public hearing.
I would like to add, I don't understand when we have a mandated resolution that our work sessions are at 12:30, the second Wednesday of every month, why a public hearing was scheduled on top of that without notification to the board at all.
I sent it to everybody a week ago.
After the fact, the scheduled hearing took place before the new.
Yeah, I sent you the agenda based on the fact that it includes the Parks and Rec.
After the fact that it was posted in the public newspaper without board knowledge. I found out from a resident. Yeah.
The whole Lake Resort?
Yep. I found out from a resident. I was never given notification that there was going to even be a hearing today, except when I got it from you, which was after the fact. So if we have a resolution that work sessions are at 12:30, why is there a public hearing on top of this work session? And who gave the board the authorization under 42.72 of the state statute to move a hearing without board approval? I mean, a work session.
The move was made to accommodate Amanda's time schedule.
That doesn't matter to me
Okay,
because that's
it
not,
doesn't matter to
well,
me.
that's not the law,
Are you
Roger.
gonna let me answer?
Yep.
Okay, I contacted the attorney and said, can we do it that way? And he said, yes.
So once
And that's where
again,
I'm going, yes,
once again, we can violate state statute that says what a resolution state. And you as a supervisor, against the authority of statute, have the right to move a resolution hearing, or I mean, a work session put in place by this board on November 20th of 24 without board approval. So why do we even have rules and laws in the state?
I'm not sure about the rules and laws, but
Well, I can put it.
specifically, well, let me answer. I asked him specifically about doing it that way. He said, yes. And I said, and if it doesn't look like we'll have a quorum, so we're not going to be making decisions in Parks and Rec. And he said, even more so, it's fine. We've been here before, Jeffrey.
Well, yeah, last time you moved it on the basis of, and I remember talking to the Bardas because they thought that a work session or board was going to be at 12:30 and you moved it and the attorney said, you guys just started late. This is very, very different because an intentional hearing mandated by state with the board, not the Parks and Rec Committee, was put on top of our, I mean, I guess I just have a question. Why not just ask the board? As the statute says, a hearing, or excuse me, a work session or regulated and or regular work session or board meeting can be moved with a majority vote of the board. And within 3 days of that, there'll have to be a new posting on when that hearing, or excuse me, work session or board meeting would take place. This is very simple. I mean, there's 5 of us and none of us even knew about this. Again. So that's all I want to say. I don't really care. I guess I don't understand. Here we are again.
Yes, we are. Is there any other comment from the board on the motion that's on the floor? Okay, I'll restate the motion that we move the board comments to after the Park and Rec Committee public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
They,
Steve, I'm not sure I heard which way you went on that. Okay,
I'm gonna call nay.
okay. So then board comments will have to go first. I would hope that we can move fast. Yes. I don't have any board comments. Anybody else got something they want to say today? Okay, then we'll move on. I don't have any modifications or additions in the agenda that I am aware of.
I'd like to add one.
Sure.
I'd like to discuss when we're gonna have the interviews for the ordinance officer. I know there's 2 outstanding and I'd like to please get them interviewed. Get the process rolling.
All right, I'll put it on here as number 12. Okay, anything else?
yes, I would like to, I received, some information from Fire EMS and I would like to have a short discussion on the, program that we approved, but it is not implemented as of yet.
So discussion of fire department.
Yeah, more importantly, the EMS, when we approved the weekend and on call and pay for that. So I have some information from them that I would like to share.
Okay, I'll put that as 13 on fire department. So any other additions? And I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with those 2 additions, one on ordinance officer interview, the other one on fire department. Discussion for plans. All those in favor, signify.
You second the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me on protocol. All those in favor signify by, or discussion, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Okay, the motion carries. So the first thing on the agenda is a Parks and Rec Committee public hearing on 5-year master plan draft. I already went through all of the places that it was posted as far as meeting the legality on it. Cindy Pop, one of the Parks and Rec Board members, is here remotely. I'm a member and liaison. We were not able to get a quorum, but we don't need one to have the public hearing because it's mostly about getting your input and reviewing it. So the plan is over there. But I'd like to, at this point, turn the meeting over to Amanda Twnship, who is the driving force behind a lot of this, and have her do some explanation on it, and then we can take some questions if you have any.
I'm going to interject because legally we have to open the public hearing and set a time.
You are absolutely correct. I'm sorry about that. Cindy is here. It's being taped. Amanda Twnship is here. I would ask her to lead off. So I will make a motion to close the regular board meeting and open the public hearing on Parks and Rec. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? I'm sorry, I should have worded that pause.
Yeah, discussion is it's not even a pause of work. A hearing can take place within a board meeting or a special meeting, and work sessions are a special meeting. So we just continue as such, open the hearing, and then we will close the hearing at the end and still be within our special meeting / work session.
Thanks, sir. So on the motion to pause this meeting and open up the public hearing for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, the same.
Nay.
So what was the final count there?
Aye.
Okay, so we have 3 aye and 2 opposed.
And the reason I'm doing it is just because these people are giving up their time to be here. And the next time I'm gonna vote against it, so we gotta do better.
Okay, so circling back to the fact that it's being videoed and that Cindy is present, go ahead, man.
Okay. So just a quick background on this whole Parks and Recreation Master Plan process to bring us up to date. So planning started for this with review of past plans, evaluating the parks around mid 2025. So around July to October about. The survey, public survey was posted online on the website and notified of availability on Facebook and also made available in person November 19th to December 14th. And it was also mailed as part of the newsletter and taxes to all residents. And then a draft plan was put out starting December 15th after the Parks and Recreation Committee met and they reviewed all the survey input and evaluation of past plans was completed at that point. And then that draft had been made available and is available on the website. The notifications went out on Facebook and also the was available in person. So that was the last 30 days comment period, December 15th through 13th of January 2026, which brings us to today. We received 3 additional survey responses in that time considered as public comment from what was mailed out and available online for a link during that time. So we had 50 total respondents. So today, what would happen is we'd open up to if there's any other additional public comments so that the public or the Parks and Recreation Committee can take a look at that. We would gather those. Then the next step would be that the Parks and Recreation Committee is meeting on Friday to review and finalize the draft or the final Parks and Recreation Master Plan from 2026 to 2030. And then there would be a request for an adoption of a resolution to accept the final master plan with this board on the 21st. That process gets us in line with being able to apply for some DNR applications. We need to have the master plan submitted to them by February 1st. in order to qualify for this year's rounds of applications. There's 2 applications that were both the top rated initiatives by survey so far that we see that we qualify for. That would be due by April 1st. So that's the salmon set renovation and then the asphalt path project on Park 27, which are both detailed out also in the master plan for Parks and Recreation. So that's the reason for this timeline and kind of where we're at and what's happened to date. So if there's any questions from the board, I'm happy to field it, and then we can open up if there's additional public comments.
January 21st is a Wednesday and, what time?
At the board meeting.
Well, 7 o'clock at night?
Whenever, yeah.
Oh,
That's your board meeting. Yeah, on the agenda, yes.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you, a couple of them that were coming up quickly, and one of the reasons that we were working so hard to get this thing done within that time frame had to do with some bigger grants. Could you describe what those potential ones, I believe it was consumers and possibly the DNR?
These are the the DNR grants are the ones that we'd be looking for. So there's 2 different ones that the DNR folks have indicated to us are a good alignment with those programs. So one would be the Recreation Passport Grant, and that would be for $150,000. That requires a 25% match. Then the Trust Fund Grant is the other one, which would be for that Park 27 asphalt trail, and that goes all the way up to 400,000 available, but for this project, we're thinking somewhere around 75,000 to $100,000 in grant funds, and that one also requires 25% match. So those matches wouldn't need to be expended right now, but planned for the next budget cycle as part of the application. So that would cover pretty much the cost of those projects, which are the top 2 rated ones that came through in that public survey.
And again, the only way that we qualified for this was to start that process several months ago.
Yeah, around
do
mid
the public
2025. Yeah, if we didn't get that, and if we don't get through this next step of adoption of resolution by next week for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, you have an outdated master plan, which is the problem. And so you wouldn't qualify for those this year.
I know you've been working real hard, but all of Parks and Rec Committee's been working real hard for several months to try and get this done. I appreciate your effort. That's the only comment I have on it.
Hi, thank you. So I'm assuming because the master plan as a whole is outdated and this shores up the requirement only from the Parks and Rec standpoint because there's many other portions of it that are clearly outdated. Is that correct? Because it doesn't update like short-term rentals, it doesn't update
No,
housing. I mean, it's just strictly that section. It
yeah,
shores
what
that up.
your Parks and Recreation Master Plan was standalone.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's why
stand.
that's why we're, whenever I'm saying master plan in this, I'm only referring to Parks.
Yeah, because I've never heard it called the master plan. I've just called the 5-year Parks and Rec plan. So I thought I didn't want to get it confused with the people.
Yeah.
It's part of our master plan.
Correct. No, it is not part of your township master
Okay,
plan. They
thank
just refer to it as Parks and Recreation
Okay.
Master Plan. DNR does,
Yep.
but
Cool.
yeah,
Yes,
thank you for
yeah.
clarifying that.
That's good. Thank you.
I'd just like to say you guys, we got your 2 grants, the money came in and so that was great for, ice rink. And what was the other one again?
Ice rink and then part of the Samoset
Samoset, that's,
equipment. So yeah,
Yep.
actually you can keep applying for those regional grants and actually that can count towards like match funds for these larger grants. So, yeah, it chips away. a bit
that
like
was
that.
great. That was
I'd like to thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
If there's no other board comments, I'd like to open it up to the public because I know she's got
Yeah.
places she's supposed to be. If it was any specific questions to her, if you have any from the public here.
That one's DNR Trust Fund. WICHINSKI. Every time.
Gotta double check yourself sometimes.
Yep. Of course.
Okay, if there's nothing else for Amanda, I know you gotta go, but Cindy is still here. Cindy, do you have any comments that you'd like to add? But I know Amanda has to get going here. Oh, we seem to have a volume.
Is this better?
There you go.
Can
I
you
can
hear?
hear you now,
Can you hear
yeah.
me? Okay, no, just what's already been reiterated, Amanda has done, yeoman's work in scouting for available grants, helping us apply for some that, as Kevin said, we were successful and received some. Some that we put a lot of effort in and didn't get consumers' energy, but the work didn't go for naught because it got us organized and marching in a common direction. And then the work we collectively as the committee have put on for this 5-year park and rec plan, which the board will see as after we have our next work session and advance it to the board for approval. That'll line us up nicely for DNR passport grants. So good work and let's keep going.
Can I just say one more comment about working with the Parks and Recreation Committee? They've been very hard at work, and it's been very encouraging to see all the positive work that they're putting forth to bring improvements to the Park and Recreation in the area. I'm also from the community. I don't know, shared not Lyon Township, but Beaver Creek, so means a lot to me as a community member as well. So thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
on the back. You've done some nice work so far, and we hope there's gonna be more of the truth. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Go visit her husband at the Irish Kill.
Yes. It's a brewer.
Yeah, something else?
Thank you. This is the first time. So. But, other than that, efficiency,
Mhm.
one of them in lake access is considered a deficiency. And, I'm not quite sure. The conclusions for this, that have come, I'm not sure if that would have come from a Parks and Rec committee or not. But I mean, it would be interesting to understand why that was considered efficiency with, the west launch that we have, the road ends that we have, and the availability of boat launchers. I guess that needing more boats on the lake, not what I would consider something we need. If it is like beaches in use for for residents, and visitors, then I would agree that it would be nice to have more. But lack of boat launching, I'm not sure I understand that, and so if there was some way we could perhaps understand where that deficiency was defined or how. Because all the discussions that I've been in, it's usually, boy, we've got so many boats coming in our slope access. Has to do with invasive species, how we try and control invasive on the lake, bull washes and things like that. So I'm just wondering how that was the deficiency, how we got.
You may be able to answer quickly, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that one did come from the past master plan, the Parks and Recreation master plan. It did. So that's where it had originated from. And so we carried that forward as something that was still noted. And there was some, I think, brief discussion that maybe was had on that. But it was mostly a carryover from that as having been noted, but not necessarily having been considered fully resolved.
And
But
thank
points
you.
well noted.
Yeah, thank you, because at the end of the day, we don't need more boats on this lake. The state can't regulate what's going out there now.
Beaches for people swimming, residents like Phoenix, I mean, that's great, but I don't more boat
Yeah.
Then I know she's gonna go, we can continue this.
Yeah.
I know you.
Let's capture that and then we'll discuss. Another point from access that shows up in one of the initiatives I could point out too is Phoenix Park. You make a good point there. And there is like an accessibility evaluation that was noted there. So it was access for folks who couldn't get down this current stairs, like through a kayak or something like that. So access can also mean that, but it's a good point to maybe define it better.
Just say both.
Doesn't say boat launch, that's specific there. Okay, I'll make a note of that. We'll discuss on Friday. Thank you.
All right,
I
thank
apologize for
you.
having to go early, but
No,
Is it,
appreciate
is
it.
this for her, Sam, or? Okay, go ahead.
They could make work. State park. All of them fun both during the summer. Last several years, what? A lot of folks. And that seem to make that broke. Here go around. Here,
yes.
the response to the good, the very good parameter. I don't know. Summer. Put the upper and lower. Park the capacity during the day. A lot of boats coming. Right. So, yeah, on the weekend, capacity park, not during the week. Well, that could be a lot more boats. Why are they being? Part of the lake access, you should look at, St. Helens, look at their park. You'll see how they have for, disabled catamaran and so forth for people. They have a special ramp just for that, for the disabled. You need to look at it when you have it in effect. Head up west. Short of that.
Noted, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get back with you because it'll be the video and then I'll end up with minutes for this. Thank you. So any other questions related that possibly, I could answer or carry forward to get to her? Or our other esteemed board member here, any other, go ahead. At this point, it's all being recorded, so we'll get it, moved forward into her and her recording.
My question is, when is the public hearing? There's another. Just.
For Parks and Rec, it's right now. Yeah, he's absolutely right. and You're right. We have, what is it, 14 years old?
Yeah.
Since we did a master plan.
So this.
When we took office, I tried to get the planning commission to take that on and they were not in.
So the next thing on the line, this mess for the public, is the board meeting on January.
To accept it or not
It's
accept.
to accept.
Well, there's a meeting Friday, isn't
Yeah,
it?
we have a meeting Friday. Well, we'll take this input.
Yeah.
And have a final version Friday, and then we will vote as a Parks and Rec committee to move it to the township board as a final version.
That's this Friday at what?
This Friday is at 10 o'clock to finalize it, and then next week, Wednesday, 7 PM at night, it would be presented to the board for approval that this is the final version.
The Friday one.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a very short agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very short agenda because really all we're gonna do is what we hear today. Do minutes, make some finals.
Thanks, Mary. I just want to chime in and also say too that this master plan, the actual master plan adopted years ago, has been carried over for way too long. The state even recommends in their statutes for this that it should be looked at every 5 years, and it has never once since it was implemented now God, what, how many, 14, 15 years or whatever it's been. So
Whatever.
that's something definitely we're gonna have to look, because we have things coming up. We have septic ordinance, we have short-term rental ordinance and other stuff that we're gonna have to look at the master plan and the character of residential areas, commercial area, you know what I mean? So this is definitely gotta come up. That's not the master plan, that's an ordinance 55.
Just one,
Right, yeah, right.
one thing on the boat access, I don't know, we have much standing, but the west launch is controlled by the DNR, correct? Do they shut that down when the parking lot is full like they do at South State?
No, they let them line.
See, there should be something, is there? I mean, because when I drive by and I see the trailers on damn near on the road.
Yep.
That's becoming a safety issue now. So I don't understand why we couldn't have them say, guys, there's no more parking spots, that's it, no more boats.
That has
That's
been,
something we
yeah.
can do.
We've discussed this several times already. The
County.
closest we got was last summer. Garrish started towing some of them away. That slowed it down considerably.
Yeah,
We've talked about leasing it. We've talked about doing different things. The DNR won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, and yeah, we got a problem. You can't, if you say close it, you also, the reverse of that is that all the people who have a place here who then want to go down there and drop their motor they're out.
well,
So then it's, well, but I mean, you have to take into consideration, that's a lot of people. But when it's driving, it's driving that notion where they go back home to park their truck is what a lot of people do. Now, I'm not arguing it. I'm saying,
Yeah.
we've been here. We're gonna be going back there.
yeah.
I mean, common sense would dictate, get a bigger parking lot. When it's full, the state said, sorry, we can't let anyone in until someone comes
I
out.
mean,
That's it.
South State, when it's full, that's it.
I mean, the degradation of the lake
They
is
shut it
like
down.
because of this.
So I don't know why these guys don't do it over here if South State does it. I mean, it's the same thing, DNR.
For the sake of not gravitating away from.
Yeah.
Where we're at here.
Well,
You're right.
Part of it.
Well, it is, but I bet we talked about that 4 times, if not 5 months.
So then the
We
question
did have-
becomes,
The question is, we don't have the ability to shut it down.
but should the master plan then be revised to show what's going on and what future plans, because that's what a master plan is, in this case for the Parks and Rec. What is the intended purpose of the Parks and Rec moving forward, and boat launches or lack of or more parking? I mean, it seems like that would be implemented as part of it, as opposed to just a holdover from the last Parks and Rec 5-year plan as to what is the long-term goal for the township concerning the overabundance of boats and trailers and cars displaced all over the place to do with the parks.
Seems to me a simple fix would be just to make the no parking along those streets, and then it's done.
That's
Yeah.
that's county. They won't touch it. People have tried. They will not ticket them.
Well, that would be the fix, because then that way, if I have my boat, my trailer, and I want to launch my boat, if I'm a lakefront property owner and I want to launch my boat, I can still go launch my boat, take my trailer home, put it away, and then I can use my boat.
Yep.
But, so that would be the simple fix would be just to make it no park there.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. It's a hazard, no questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you're right.
John and Sam both have comments. We're doing that.
I'm trying to keep it focused on the master plan for Parks and Rec. So that we could shut it down and get into some other things. So if anybody's got anything. Sans the fact that she's not here right now, we may be able to help you. Or we can certainly pass it on in regards to the 5-year master plan, Parks and Rec. So if anybody else here has anything else. And if not. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Saying if you build it, they will come. Or if I see here about at a minimum and dedicated never gone over.
Yeah.
Beyond that, and they play there. If you play,
It's certainly in the works and you know, the money that we're trying to get right now is not specific to that, but Amanda's got her fingers in about 10 different grant processes. And there's money. I mean, there's a village for the parks, so. No, I hear you. You're not the only person who says that. Yes, there is. There's constantly people there.
You know, and I could figure that, you know, and not that, I think building works for community is good. And if in all, there will be years, people free to do stuff and will count you. Fine. Okay, but I mean, I do think that at some point, guys, there was like a sticker, like a card that it identified that vehicle, Lyon Township resident. You know, that, for instance, like park, you put out Mill Park on the road, when you got a Lyon Township sticker. Well, you can park because you might have people who live along West Big Drive. You say, you know, and say, look, you know, we're not with this guy, but you know, if you're a Lyon Township park, or you know, you go to the pickleball court, you know what? Have some fire. I don't really know. I don't mean how it's like that idea. You know, I already, there is some etiquette on it. It's, you can't play between 8 and 10 unless you're playing in a group, which is okay. All right, but I get, you know, I don't know if that would be part of the master plan. You know, it's just identifying line resident saying, look, it's like you're able to control, you know, relative. And just a thought.
No, these are all good thoughts.
And really should be, Lyon Township residents should be priority, in my opinion.
But it is a public park.
Yeah, that's
It's a
fine.
public park and that's the same thing with a public launch. We explored, leasing it, taking over on the launch site. I believe Richfield does some of that. So you do need to have a sticker or something that says you're from the township. But then again, then we're completely responsible for that whole thing. Not necessarily the legal aspect, but future endeavors to try and make it bigger. I mean, where are we gonna come up with the money for that stuff? If you jettison the DNR, you lose that half. But anyway, I don't want to,
Yeah.
no, you guys are all right. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Anything else in regards to the, public hearing for Parks and Rec 5-year master plan? Okay, I think at this point then, that I would make a motion to close the public hearing and return to the regular township board meeting.
Agenda.
We have a-
Regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, regular township board meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and then is there any discussion? Yeah, in the discussion, we're talking about finishing our work session. Any other discussion from the board?
Yes, I had a rough morning, so excuse my attire. I'm gonna slip that in somewhere, so I apologize.
Okay, any other discussion from the board members? Okay, on the motion to close the public hearing and then return to the regular township board meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed the same. Okay, thank you for all of that. I don't know if you're staying for everything, but the public input on this master plan has been a long, hard process, and everybody on Parks and Rec worked real hard. They don't take a nickel for any of this. Do you have any further comments there?
No, so I'll drop off if everything's okay.
Okay, and then you enjoy the rest of your day in Florida doing what you do.
No, I'm in Michigan with my grandbaby.
Oh, well, good for you. You're close.
Going back tomorrow,
All right.
though. Bye.
Thank you, dear. Okay, back to the agenda. Whole lot of just update stuff. Number 2 was the ice rink. We finally have gotten, probably there's 7 inches of ice. We got skates, we got a building, we're working on it. I would think that by the beginning of next week, that ice rink is going to be open. I just wanted to let everybody know that, for Facebook, they're working hard. We're going to probably end up with a flyer and then make sure that all the businesses around here know when it's open. Trying to turn our park into something that is for youngsters. So we have a sled hill, we got an ice rink. The park is always open. You can get in there in the snow. And we're hoping for a big turnout and then even probably a grand opening at the Winterfest for it. So any questions from the board about the ice rink in regards to that? Okay, I'm gonna move on. You got something?
No, no.
Oh,
thank
okay.
you.
Number 3 is a fish sculpture. So you may or may not be aware that we have a large fish sculpture being created right now that is going to be permanently located at Phoenix Park. And right now, the New Craft Metal Products is working on the structure and support system to have the fish hang there. And the artist is working on the fish. There's a kind of a collective decision between the Roscommon, Tracy from the Roscommon Higgins Lake Chamber, that nobody wants to go down on the lakeshore at 30-mile-an-hour winds and try and mount this thing permanently in Phoenix Park. So we're going to take the fish and have it on a nice trailer and have it there for everybody to view for the Winterfest. And then in the spring, we will permanently locate it in Phoenix Park. So it turns out to be a much better idea. It's a trailer and it'll be low. So people at Winterfest, you can walk right up and see the artistic detail. So it's about 5 foot long, weighs about 100 pounds. It's a beautiful thing. So it's the 4th of 5 total fish sculptures in the county. So that's where we're at on it right now. The artist is working on it. The mounting is being worked on and big reveal will be at the Winterfest.
Is that gonna be at, Park 27?
Park 27, yeah. Everybody kind of leaned toward, it's a lot easier to do it there.
Way easier to get parking and everything else than Phoenix.
And it's a beautiful thing, so everybody get a good look at it.
Just in case someone asks me, what kind of fish?
It is a lake trout.
Okay.
Because
I didn't know.
we're noted for lake trout.
Yeah.
So they've already got a bluegill, a sunfish.
Nice.
Lake trout in Roscommon, and we got a lake trout. And there's one more coming. I'm not sure which.
Because people will question, hey, that's really this, and this, so it better be. No,
The other ones are nice.
that's cool.
And I don't think it's gonna cost us any.
Who gets the pike? Just
It's
kidding.
a good, they did a bluegill in St. Helens. I don't know. There's 5 total.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments from the board on fish sculpture? Okay, number 4, I had to put on here AstroTurf purchase for a selected area use in Samoset Park in the spring. This is a carryover for a complaint we had, and then we had an inspection of the park done, where we landed somewhat, where it was approved that we could get some sort of pads down so that a wheelchair access could be had to get at least under one of the swings and a wheelchair access seat for one of the swings. The more we looked into that, to try and do a section, you have to end up like if we were to put heavy duty AstroTurf, then you have to blend it with everything else. And it ends up being, that's not a really good idea. And so we're currently, right now, I checked with West Branch. They do all of the, I guess, in order to qualify for the playground equipment, they have to have mulch and their drop product, which is made out of wood, to be specifically made hardwood, no bark. So right now I was exploring whether or not we should not just do the whole swing set with just different fall material. And it's $14 a yard to do it, but we could actually do that. But we're gonna have to look at it and see what happens when, a lot of this is for kids, a kid in a wheelchair. What about if I get on a wheelchair,
Well,
is this supported or do the wheels end up start digging in there,
yeah,
So we're gonna look at it, but I just wanted to let you guys know, I don't think that trying to do a mat or connecting mats or a section of AstroTurf is gonna be a good idea. There's some problems.
it sounds like it might be a trip hazard at some point.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe. I mean,
If we did this,
Yeah.
the inspector for the insurance company came and said you could do a pad. He also said you could change the falls off, so.
Yeah.
So that's where that's at. Any comments from the board on that aspect? That would be in the spring, as quick as we can get to it.
Hmm.
Okay, number 5, for the employee handbook, I'm gonna suggest you each take one of them and then same way that you take one of them, and then I'll pass the others around. This is just for general discussion now to make you aware that I'd like to have it on the agenda also for our meeting next week, that we add progressive discipline to our employee handbook. The employee handbook is in sad shape, as is our master plan. Progressive discipline, our employee handbook deals with trying to utilize performance evals. And that's a good idea. I'm used to working for the state before it, having performance evals and progressive discipline, 2 different ways to make better employees. What I like about the progressive discipline is it's not that to hammer on anybody. You can take immediate action and do things pretty quickly if you need to, if you have a progressive discipline included in there. So we can talk about it a little bit now. But next week we can talk some more about that actually progressive discipline and performance eval, they're 2 separate paths to make better employees, but they both lack something that the other has. So there maybe we'll decide if we want to do that. So I'm giving you just a quick overview of what those 2 things are. Any comment from the board on that for right now? I don't know that we need to spend time on it a lot, but it's up to you guys. You got any thoughts about that? Okay, so that's, for you guys to look at.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Number 6 is a discussion on burials versus storage. Now that the cemetery is open year round, some of you may know that the cemetery is now open year round. That immediately opened up whether we would do burials. Last year when we closed it, there was a couple people whose loved ones passed away and they wanted to store them. Some of you may remember this. Store the bodies in our crypt area there, because it's really incredibly expensive to do it anywhere else. Turns out we didn't do that. Looked at the legalities of trying to do that. Now that it's open year round, it would appear that we can talk about this again next week. If we're going to bury loved ones in the winter, and we don't even have to worry about trying to store any bodies in a crypt. And this is an amenity for the residents. I mean, it's like people die. This is our cemetery. It's open. Sergeants gave us a price for digging the burial areas in the winter. It's all a possibility. So I think that moves us away from trying to do a legal document where we're storing someone's remains for the winter and just going with, if people die and they have plots here, we will arrange to bury them. And I actually think we should make this room right here available to people. If they have a burial and they have 15 or 20 people, I don't see any.
Not
reason
much
why-
in the body.
No,
Jesus.
no, that's for the viewers. We had a couple before where there was 15 or 20 people.
Hey, I'd be all for that. Why not? There's always.
We don't right there, that's one podcast.
Yeah,
Holy.
people are working.
Well, I like it because, I mean, my mom, it's all Catholic, but there's always, whether it's the church or even sometimes it's happened a couple times at the cemetery, and it's rare they do this, but it was at their, like place. I mean, I'd love it. Let them,
I don't
yeah.
see why we couldn't.
You just-
Why would we charge?
You just have to remember something did that one back in November, I think it was.
Yeah.
From what I'm told, he takes his insurance off of his equipment. So I don't know who's gonna be doing the digging.
No, we already asked him. He gave us a different price.
Yes,
Dig it in winter.
that was the one that he did, I think in November or whatever.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So we got a different price, but after the first of the year, he was gone. Like, he doesn't do any digging. He takes his insurance out. So you gotta double check that for sure.
Yeah, and that's, like if we can't find anybody, then we're back in a crypt game again.
And obviously, I would assume we're more than covered for liability if, God forbid, something's dug in someone else's vault or, that's all.
And the next
Yeah.
part is, how are you gonna find the,
Grave under the snow?
yeah.
That was part of why we bought
That's
the,
incredible. They're hard enough to find in the summer.
okay, that was part of the reason that we bought the new mower with the snow blower, because a snow blower can get in there and expose an area. They have a metal detector they were using that's a piece of junk. I have a couple of them. It takes a while to get used to those things. I suspect that we can find the plot if somebody dies. And I suspect we can get somebody to dig the hole.
I guess it comes down to, I had, seven relatives.
Well, but if we're gonna keep it open, then the other conversation is, do you wanna start storing bodies?
I just know that I've had 7 relatives
Last month.
die in the winter, and they've all been buried in the winter, and a good
Be done with his.
sexton or someone who knows, I mean, there's never been an issue. I mean,
Has that been in northern Michigan?
huh?
Has that been in northern Michigan?
No, but when my mom died, it was January 18th, 20 some years ago, and there was over 3 feet in the cemetery, and they cleared out, they brought the stuff in, they cleared out all the surrounding plots to make sure, because I wanted to take care of her as quick as possible, and they hit it dead on. So I just don't know. My grandmother, I mean,
Well, I can tell you, during the Wreaths of America, hanging those wreaths, it was hard to find headstones. Just a headstone, let alone this little pin,
We had
metal piece in the
snow and leaves of all those things that we had. I think
Yeah,
our sexton took a little extra trouble and he couldn't.
I mean,
find-
it sounds good in theory, but we just gotta make sure we.
well, I'm bringing it again, and we can find out from sergeants, how that works. We do have a better tool to find an individual plot, and I do have metal detectors to use that are, metal detectors will tell you all the junk that's there unless you know what you're doing. So the problem they had before is they were finding nails, bottle caps, things that make it hard to find. You can set them up so they don't hit iron. So you're basically looking for brass, the marker. They didn't know any of that, so that should make it easier. But anyway, very good ideas.
Huh.
I'll bring it back up again, at our meeting next week, and we'll see where we're at. We stopped when our attorney said, if you want to try and store bodies, there's all kinds of legalities. You have to protect against acts of nature, if a tree falls on it, any of that stuff.
wow.
Backed me off then anyway. Okay, but anyway, so there it is. If anybody else got anything they want to say about that now, and then I'll see if I can get more information and be clear by next Wednesday. Sure.
law. I did. In November, they gave it every. I said, I was May or June. From the attorney. You.
Huh.
And I was at funeral service last week, and that was very good. That just reminded me, I was thinking.
I think for this law pertain more to the roads and the weight. That's. This law is usually the weight of vehicles on roads, but.
Alright, well, that's,
Digging, yeah, I've never heard of dig.
Yeah,
I mean, they dig basements in the winter when building a house. I didn't,
well, I'll put it on the list of trying to find out I do know that last year they couldn't find the funeral homes downstate at store corpse for $6,000. So they were calling us, can we do it? We couldn't do it. They found somebody in Traverse City, $4,500. It's a nightmare if you're stuck in that situation.
yeah. Oh,
Um, But I will check on any kind of law.
Those are cities with resources.
Yeah.
We're not a big city. We don't have resources. I don't think we should even mess with it.
Yeah, my perception was to do as much as we could for the residents to help them out.
I agree, but those are big cities with resources. We're not a big city. We don't have the resources. I don't think we should mess with it.
Okay.
fascinating that something isn't better in play, if you will, because I can't say the long version of stats. I just can't do it. So anyway, stats show more people pass during the holidays than any other time of year. So you would think that somewhere in the state or other, someone would have come up with a way to accommodate the seasonal. I don't know. Maybe it's something I need to work on. Who knows? But yeah, interesting.
start up business there, Tim.
You love cemeteries. I used to sleep in them. So.
Okay.
I did because it was my mother.
Striking something the record. Well, so a lot more to talk about.
Yep.
Number 7. This is a township snow blower and an ice shaver, but you can strike the ice shaver for now. For the Park 27 Pavilion, the ice rink area and the Winter Fest preparation. It's no secret we got a lot of snow this winter. We don't have a decent snow blower. Richard offered to let the township use his and been using it regularly. So that at least twice now we have cleared out the pavilion area of snow so that we didn't end up with a huge amount by Winterfest. Also circled the ice rink to get the snow out of the way to help the ground freeze. And then also you lift the snow blower up onto the ice rink in order to blow the snow off. So he was okay with that. I'm not okay with that. I don't like the idea of using something that if it breaks, then the township, we get into a situation where repairing somebody's personal property because we break up, I'd really not rather do that. But the main thing being, the reason we're using hers or his is because we don't have one. To me, this is something we should have had and we don't have, and we should buy one. So Parks and Rec would end up coming out of Parks and Rec budget, but is also would be the primary thing then to clean everything up for the Winterfest, keep the snow off of the ice rink, and keep the walk path around the ice rink done with a snow blower that is able to be lifted up on the ice. No, you need an army to try and shovel off a snowstorm on it. Now, I know I've talked with a couple people here and they may have different opinions. I wanted to let you know, it could be had for $1,000, maybe 1,500. Again, apparently we had like a little tiny one or something, one of the toy ones, and it doesn't. So the reason I put it, or the reason it's here is to talk about that. So the 1,000 to 1,600, they're all 24-inch and 208 cc motors. That's pretty standard on them. I say a couple of them have a better reputation. So for the sake of discussion, I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase from the Park and Rec budget of a snow blower for Park 27 snow removal on the ice rink, around the ice rink, and the pavilion on a regular basis for the winter fun and winter fest. Is there a second for that?
So I'll second for discussion.
Okay, then we have a second, so where the discussion begins.
So the pavilion, when is that going to be wrapped? That's supposed to be wrapped soon, right? I would imagine for when it first stays wrapped, so that we don't have to worry about snow blowing in there after that's wrapped. And then as for the ice rink, didn't we just buy brand new ice shovels? So we're gonna be returning, I would assume we return those back to the where we bought them from?
No, we bought the shovels and they would stay there with the skates where people could do shoveling on the ice. The problem is we've had a couple of serious dumps. If the snow blower allows you to be able to get rid of 3 to 6 inches of snow that we've had 3 times. That thing's pretty big. In fact, my grandson and his buddy, I'm paying them today. And working.
Other than the ice rink, what does the new $8,000 piece of equipment do?
The cemetery has a tractor for cutting grass, sucking up leaves.
No, the new one that you guys, we
That's what I'm
approved.
saying. That's
Okay.
in the cemetery. To cut the grass, mulch the grass, mulch the leaves, suck the leaves up if they're dry enough. And has an extension on the front of it to do snow blowing on a limited basis, where if we have to get into a plot. And right now he just did some of the roads, but it's not intended to handle the main
I
plot.
never knew that. I was always told it was for snow removal. I had no idea it was
I
for.
heard that, somebody else said that to
I
me.
have never-
But it was never,
Even Bruce sat here and said all he needed was a hand snow blower, and it was never conveyed to us that we need, everyone thought, people around the township said they heard it, I've talked about before, they're like, is the new snow blower tractor here? And I go, no, I don't know yet. So why would Bruce make a comment that all he needed was a hand snow blower if what the board approved wasn't for snow for $8,000? Just asking.
I believe that the discussions involved way more than that.
I had no idea.
Than once.
Because we had talked previously about a 0-turn, grass cutter thing, this, and this. So I had no idea this tractor was basically just a piece of lawn equipment.
No, I didn't think so either. We were supposed to have a snow blower attachment and,
I thought it was all for snow removal, most of it. And then it could be used during the off season. Huh, okay.
Well, let me get one price straight now. You said you started with 1,000.
Yeah.
And then went to 15.
There is one that, what I was trying to say is they're all 24-inch.
Yeah.
And 208 on the CCs, but one was about $1,100, had a pretty good reputation.
Well, now that's the fourth price. You gave 1,000, 15. You went raised yourself to 16. Now you lowered yourself to like 3 times the 4.
That's because if we can get a motion on this, it would end up being not to exceed probably the 1,600. I'd like to get the one for the 1,100. The one that's pushing 16, I don't like the reviews on it.
What about the weight? The more expensive usually, the heavier the machine is, so it can do a better job.
Well, this one, they're weight wise, I don't know that they're really different. It was a matter of Home Depot have, example being the one that I would be interested in, they have one in stock. They have 10 of the other kind that probably don't have a good reputation. So if they're not selling well, that kind of tells you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the best choice. And I wasn't planning on pulling the trigger until, next Wednesday, if this is something that we're looking at, I can give you an accurate number on.
Fine. So what are you doing board meeting, but have a number? Yeah.
Seems like I just bought a snow blower 2 years ago. It cost me $500.
That's what I thought. The difference is having an electric start apparatus.
It's an electric start.
Is yours not? Yeah, you bought one for 600. They have gone up considerable. I think I bought mine 5 years ago
Let's get an accurate price on it
Yeah.
first.
Well,
I mean, we only got another one,
Another month of what?
month and a half of snow.
Yeah.
Won't snow.
People like seven minutes, I can tell you.
It's a good day for ice.
This is the wrong time of year to actually buy one, because this is when the prices are the highest. If we wait,
maybe, but the point, again, we're using a piece of equipment that's somebody's personal property.
but he's okay with it.
Then, to me, it's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he's a resident. He wants to help out. What's wrong with that?
For the reasons that I don't want to get into fixing something that we break and that the duty for the township, this is personal property.
What he's saying is this is a poor time to buy one. If we waited 2 months and hope for the best, we could get them on clearance sale and save a whole lot of money.
Correct.
Sure could. I would only say that when it comes time to do Winterfest, I hope everybody is willing to go out if we have a crap load of storm, of snow, and help. This has turned into the amount of snow we got this year, even with a second maintenance man. You guys all know, we get storms the whole next day and a half screwing around with snow because we now, plow the cemetery, take care of Park 27 for a sled hill, have an ice rink. There's and then the road for the compost. You're right. It might not snow again. Bottom line is we don't want one. And we can talk about it some more. I can get you an accurate number.
I have a comment. I would just like to say for the record, and we've been here before as well too. This board should never, ever, in my opinion, and there's statutes for this, be approving something that is up to something. This is taxpayer dollars. We should have an invoice in front of us. We should have a concrete idea of what we're spending. We should not be giving out blank checks.
Any other comments before we move along here? Okay, what's next? Number 8, Ken Marsh has an addition to the ZBA board. This was forwarded to me by Robert Amore. And I talked briefly with a couple of people about it. I don't know that I was sold on it, but I ended up calling. His name is Ken Marsh. He's actually the pastor at the Baptist church right down the road. We talked for a while, and he has like 15 years experience being on the ZBA. So I asked him to give me a resume or something to bring to you guys. He thought he could get it done yesterday, but he was doing something else. I haven't seen it yet. My intention would be to give it to you guys where he's listed his experience. And then we can make a decision. He may be a guy he's certainly willing to do. So I don't have the resume I can give you today. I'll get it to you as soon as I see it.
Question, why are we adding another one? Who sits on the board right now? I don't even know. I looked at the website. I thought it was Jim Dillon and Richard.
Since you resigned, it's Jim Dillon and Richard Maplebeck, and then I was acting as a liaison vote in order if they got stuck.
All right, that's what I thought.
So he would be that third person, and I'm more than happy to just be there as an observer.
All right, so I'll make this easy. Sorry, I can't see anyone. For the board, this is state statute, and this would never, what's his name, Ken Marsh?
Ken Marsh.
Okay, and here's why. Under the Zoning Enabling Act, section 125.3601, in a county or township, one of the regular members of the Zoning Board of Appeals shall be a member of the Zoning Commission or the Planning Commission. And it goes on to other stuff. In Ordinance 55 for the township, under board membership, section 1501, the Lyon Township Board of Appeals shall consist of 3 members in accordance with the following recommendations. The first member shall be a member of the Planning Commission. Currently, Jim Dillon nor Richard Maplebeck are part of the Planning Commission. Ken Marsh is in either, therefore he would not qualify. One member may be, shall is different, but one member may be a member of the Township Board. The remaining members of the Board of Appeals should be selected from the electors of the township and so forth and so forth. So very simply put, in just a couple of sentences, we can't legally appoint based on statute and the township's own resolutions and their ordinance number 55, someone who doesn't sit on the planning commission. It does not fulfill that requirement.
I believe you're correct there. Steve was on the planning commission and also would be involved. ZBA. I
No,
guess I was looking
No,
at,
not without appointment. And we're only allowed to have 3.
but he was already on.
No.
Yeah,
So,
we can make a decision if there. My point was if you ended up having 3 people on it and there was truly a board liaison,
mhm,
then the liaison is more like the liaison.
no, that's not what it says. Has to be
Well, yeah.
no more than 3 and 1 has to be from the plant. Now, if Steve wants to,
Oh. It's one of the reasons I just.
Yeah.
Flying around.
right. So the more, the other choice would be is like another member from the planning commission if they wanted to step up to, shore up the legal requirement to go onto the ZBA.
I thought it had to be the board member had to be both on ZBA.
No, not under statute. Only one person under that section 125.3, whatever states it. One member shall be, and I called it state again on this, shall means must in a sense, be from the planning commission.
Okay.
Our township agreed to let someone else. The state doesn't require a ZBA member to be a board member. Our township says it may be one if we choose to. That's how I was on it originally.
Okay.
So,
Well, let me get the resume and look at it, cause
Yep.
I'm not real sure. That in lieu of Ken being interested, that one of the other people would not. Withdraw.
there you go. Yeah.
They have to see how the general. Feeling is on it, cause both Jim Dillon and Richard Maplebeck both were doing us a favor
Mhm.
to serve.
Well, we might have to look at this progressive discipline to see if we can get rid of someone. I'm teasing.
Make better employees.
Yeah.
Not get rid of it.
I'm kidding.
Okay, any other, I'll get the resume
Yeah.
to you and we can talk about it some more. Any other comments from the board on that today? Okay, we'll move on. Number 9. This is just a notification and then it'll end up going on the Facebook page, probably web page too. But I ended up getting a hold of we have porta johns. I got a hold of them for a couple of reasons. Samoset was only getting pumped sporadically, but now that with the ice and the fishermen and when the 4-wheelers are running around, I asked them to increase that, so they'll be pumping every other week at Samoset. The fact that the cemetery is open put the cemetery back on to where they should probably be every other week because cemetery is open and people would potentially have use of it. According to the sexton, there is still a kind of a hardcore group of people who visit the cemetery every week if they can get in there to visit the grave sites. So Samoset and the cemetery would be every other week. Park 27, right now they do that, and it would be to add a second one for Winterfest. So a second one, so there would be 2 porta johns there by the 11th. And the dates for the Winterfest are like 12, 13, 14, or 13, 14, 15. So they'll bring an extra one on the 11th and then they'll pick it up and remove it.
Is one gonna be enough? One extra.
Hope so.
You know how many we could use at those concerts, when,
Well, yeah, the concert, the Winterfest that I attended, I think 2 is enough.
okay.
So it would actually be. Yeah, by the 11th and pick it up the following week. I guess. It's not that expensive. If we thought we needed 3, I can still call
No, it's not that expensive.
them. So that's where that landed.
Okay.
I guess the main thing being that we have something available at the cemetery if the cemetery is open. And for increased use at Samoset and then for winter. So I think we got that covered. Any comments from any of the board members on that?
No disrespect, I never knew we had an outhouse at the cemetery. I've never heard of such a thing.
It's tucked up against the garage and
Wow.
the experience I had, because we helped take care of somebody's loved one last November, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
There's 15 people there dressed to the nines, their finest clothing on, doing a service. And the outhouse, the door, it was like shoved against the garage. And I mean, they're not going out in the woods to relieve them.
Oh dear.
So if we're gonna have an open cemetery.
Well, yeah.
We got,
Yeah.
I think we gotta have,
Catholics call it discipline and make you wait.
yeah. Okay, so number 10. It's just an update, Kodiak, our new company, and VC3RO company, it just is an update. The start date was gonna be 1/1, that got moved to 2/1 because VC3 has to do offboarding. And Kodiak has to do onboarding. And VC3 is still, what was the problem today with them?
Scanning.
Just dragging their feet. So Kodiak, thank you to them. He got out. You know, like, we can't do this. You guys need to do what you need to do. So there's a little delay in it, but Kodiak is already doing everything that they.
Zodiac's already come out several times on Silver Skulls. They've been excellent. We want rid of the VC3.
Well, I think it's sad after going through a lot of information on the website. It just, I randomly came across, I wasn't even looking for it, to think that all the problems we've had with BC3 and you guys in particular, but yet the last board, and rightfully so, I think it was either 23 or 24, don't quote me, but it was in there. They allocated $25,000 to BC3 for upgrades and other stuff. And I'm like, wow, we've still had all this.
But, and the 20, that was actually for the new server setup. And I don't know that there was anything wrong with the old one. I don't know exactly
Yeah.
how that happened.
Okay.
So Kodiak, we already
Yeah.
have an agreement with them. When they're fully on board, they're gonna take that server, which is sitting on a milk crate,
Yeah.
and mount it on a wall and get it out of danger.
Shoot, excuse me.
So I'm happy with Kodiak. I still have this feeling that DC3 is gonna screw us some.
Very well.
Money wise.
Try it right there.
I'm just thinking, not paying them until they're done their job. Don't send them a check until they're absolutely finished and Kodiak is in. Then we can pay
Yeah.
them off the rest of their,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, they're, that's what it is.
Indeed.
They nailed us before by pulling the plug and we had to pay them several $1,000s to come back around.
Yeah.
Okay, any others than just informational, any other comments on that? Okay, number 11 is, just a notification, 2026-27 preliminary budget work is starting right now, so we will be diving into that to a certain extent next week. And we'll see where we're at. I don't know if anybody on the board has any note or comments, but certainly there will be times where Pam will be digging around looking for information and we'll start trying to put everything together or put it together for this. Okay. Number 12 is ordinance officer interviews. So take it away there.
I would just like to, I don't know if we can do this at a regular meeting, or do we gotta do a special meeting, or how this interview process works, but let's get these two people interviewed at least, and then we can go from there, but I mean, this is dragged out and now, let's just get get these two people interviewed is what I want to say. And I like to do it before the end of the month if possible.
I honestly don't, I had been under the impression that the interviews had to be done in a public forum in the meetings. And recently, somebody said, no, they don't. I'm not sure. I probably need to double check that. In the context of, I did ask the attorney, we don't really have to do anything, but you're right. If you'd like to, the board will make a decision. Since we advertised for that, we were advertising for somebody who had some computer skills and could start doing filing and, do some compiling of everything that's scattered in different locations. Now, in just a matter of a month, we're looking at, not that we're gonna talk about it today, but short-term rental. So the ordinance officer job appears to, maybe is gonna morph from your chasing down ordinance violations and filing and getting all of that prepared to, if we do something with a short-term resident, the ordinance officer will be a busy person. All of that. So the job kind of shifts a little bit.
Well,
I'm not against trying to do an interview. What are we interviewing for?
well, we're interviewing for an ordinance officer.
Right,
Right.
but primarily there's nothing going on with ordinance. Was a chance to try and put together the mess that is our record keeping ordinance officer. It's looking like the person, the skills that they're gonna have to have, the people skills to do inspections and such for short-term rentals. Gonna be more.
That'll be part of their
Yeah.
job duties, but
I'm against it. It's just amazing how in a month it can, there's folks.
I mean, I mean, we've advertised for, let's get these people in.
Well, not to mention, to your point, especially if we use police powers, we also have to look at a septic ordinance, and that will also go through the ordinance officer.
We need somebody in.
Yeah, we definitely need, has to be.
So is there? I mean, like I said, I don't know. Do we have to do one at a public meet or at a board meeting, or can we?
I heard the same thing.
Special meeting?
You don't need to.
I heard it, but I
Check with Mr. Veal.
Yeah, when I interviewed for the ordinance officer position, they did it at the work session with a board member or a board meeting, I don't remember which. Offered both to Harry and I to to come up and give our spiel.
Mhm.
We didn't ask a whole lot of questions, but it had to be done publicly, and I
That's
think
fine.
that's-
So do we want to, can we get it on the agenda for next Wednesday?
I'm sure I could get an answer on whether it needs to be done in that format. Yeah, and maybe get it on there.
At least get him interviewed.
Cause then it's
And
another
then-
month if we don't do it Wednesday.
Yeah,
And I'd rather get it out of the way. If the people don't fit the image or the job description that we're talking about adding there, then we can move on from there.
Yeah, basically, he said you can post it and do nothing. And then you can post it, and if you interview people and it doesn't suit your needs, you don't have to hire.
Exactly.
Or so. But I don't think I asked them specifically about doing it in a public.
Well, but if we have to, let's get it on for next Wednesday.
I can certainly find out.
You know how good he is. He'll get back to you within an hour, for Christ's sakes. If he's not.
Generally, what do you think? I mean, you're into this, it's public, it has to be done in the public, doesn't it? Not like us asking questions, but they get a chance to talk about what they can offer.
I don't know legally, but I don't believe so, but I do think it is a good idea that they come and publicly introduce themselves. Absolutely, because a lot of people on these committees before, I didn't know who this young lady was today at all, sitting here with the laptop on Parks and Rec, no idea. So I think it's
Actually, she's not on the committee, she's the.
grant writer, still had no idea who she was,
No.
never seen her.
You're right.
So I like the idea of them coming, presenting their case, if you will.
we've got questions that we could ask.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
I think it's,
want to make a motion to release on the agenda for next Wednesday.
Well, let me find out if it has to be public first, and then I'll put it on.
We want it public.
If you want to go that, we can do that.
Yeah, let's
Right,
do it public.
because the other aspect was, and this is the part I was stuck on. So we had for the last time when I hired Harry, it was at a public meeting. We both told them what we could do. Then they sent a letter to notify who was hired and who wasn't. When did that meeting happen? How does the board make a decision on who they hire without it being a public meeting?
You can't.
Right, so how that even?
Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely.
There's a difference between that, having to interview it at a public meeting. That's totally different. Another thing is,
Yeah. What happened?
the other thing is, I think you're expecting a little too much. I worked law enforcement for 46 years. And to say, I want a town that is good with people, enforces the laws, does bookkeeping, has computer skills, and all these other things, is just ridiculous. It's just impossible. It's highly unlikely, let's put it that way.
And remember that in the advertisement, the pay is to be determined. If we were to get a really highly qualified person, we could pay him accordingly. That's cable.
Generally speaking,
Yeah, okay.
what I've seen in life is that people who have really good computer skills are sometimes lacking in personal skills. People with really good personal skills are sometimes lacking in computer skills. And to find that one person, that one shining star, I think it's a lot. It's difficult.
I hear you. No, you're right. That point, Steve. We can schedule it, but as far as I know, we don't make a decision then. And then how and when we make a decision, because in my mind, you'd almost have to have another meeting to decide. And then how's that not a public meeting? I don't know how.
Well, let's take baby steps and start it.
We can put it on there and see what happens. I don't think we're breaking it.
Attended by Mr. Hobbs. And I'll second.
Sure. I don't have any other discussion. Anybody else?
Nope.
All right, well, you got the motion, so roll it, and let's keep moving.
Got to vote on it.
That's what I'm saying to them. If they've made the motion, then it's theirs.
You call.
No, let's go. We got no more
Keep
questions.
the
Let's take a vote.
You call it.
Oh, okay, then, if there's no further discussion on it, on the motion to add to the agenda next week, interviewing the candidates for the ordinance officer position. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye. Those opposed, the same. Okay, I would task you guys to try and get a hold of both candidates and make sure they're available for next Wednesday.
Okay.
I don't think there's a double check. I think, but in the interim, I would ask, how that works once you do the interview. Okay. Yay.
So what do we got left? Good.
Last is, fire department that, Mr. Monet had some
Yep,
comments or material on.
yep. Alrighty. All right, so recently, I have been given some information from, the fire department EMS. And some of it's a little alarming to me because we passed in November, to allow the implementation of this program to have people on call on weekends and this, the EMS. And even over the first of the year, I think now I'm learning there were at least 9 calls turned over elsewhere, which is alarming. And there was just 3 again that I found out yesterday from like maybe the last week. Anyway, part of the problem it seems to be, and I do not understand why, and it doesn't make sense to me, but I really don't care because I want them to have the information. So from Fire EMS, I was handed a list of information they need to even get this program started. Why the board has never heard of this, I have no idea. They said they've made numerous attempts to get it from the office, but they don't have it. So the fire department needs.
What is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna read off. This is what they need to get this implemented. Why? Don't care. Why an EMS coordinator or even the fire chief doesn't know his budget? I don't know. That's not for me to say. But anyway, they're requesting, they need to know the fire budget. How much does the fire department get from the millage? How much does the department have left? the line items and the numbers. What does the fire department use for payroll? Where does the money for payroll come from? And the numbers for needed for setting up the payroll for this program. And that's a lot to me that I'm finding it a little alarming that nobody had this information since November. And it says here as a supplement of this, Lyon Township Fire and EMS Department would like to be able to get something up and running for our community with our EMS personnel. How come this has never been, to John's point, last time we met and he spoke about things for the community, like,
I don't know who he's giving you that information, but I've never been asked any
Yeah,
one of those questions.
this came from EMS coordinator and
Maybe she should,
our interim.
you should give it to the board instead of giving it to you, just.
No, they didn't give it to me. I obtained this upon request because they claimed, I'm just throwing the information out there, that they have requested this
But I'm
information from.
It's been sent to us.
Yeah, well, they didn't say they sent anything. They said they've asked you in person.
No, they have.
Let me clear
I just wanted.
this question. And then you're bringing it to
No.
the last meeting.
No, this is from the actual fire department. And
Why would they ask where their payroll's coming from?
Because they don't know how to do payroll. They don't know the line item numbers or anything.
EMS coordinator.
They don't do
They
pay.
do that.
They don't do pay.
I know they don't, but they wanted to know, okay, see. Read them again. This is from them. I'm just the messenger.
This is why, who sent this?
This came from Gail and JC Holder.
Okay.
They never
They
been in
just,
my
they
office.
just sent it to you and you.
No, they didn't send it to me. I retrieved this or retrieved it. We received
Get
it
it from me.
Sarah Bonzak because her and I had a conversation.
Bonzak, who's
There's
the,
another. clear-
So we have had numerous conversations about this for a month and she keeps on saying that they have requested in person this information,
Who's they?
Gail and JC.
But who did they request it from?
they
The
did.
personnel.
Personnel.
Okay, let me finish.
Okay, I thought you were saying Sarah.
No. Gail and JC have stated they had being in charge. He is EMS coordinator. He's interim fire chief. That they have requested this information numerous times and had not received it, which is why nothing that we approved in November has taken place yet. Remember, even brought it up, like, where is this program? Why isn't, in JC, I remember sitting here, he said, and I asked him, is it ready to roll? And he said, yes. So I thought this was all taken care of. After all these conversations with Sarah Bonzak, and I'm very grateful we had these conversations, she said, I will get for you. She just gave me this about 40 hours ago, maybe 36 to 40. So you can give this to the board for consideration. So once again, is the fire department needs to know their fire budget. Why the chief doesn't know his budget, I don't know. How much does the fire department get from the millage? Once again, I don't know why they don't know. How much does the department have left? The line items necessary to implement this program. What does the fire department use on payroll? Where does the money for payroll come from? That's village, I mean, what, okay, anyway. And the numbers needed for setting up payroll. So
So
that's a lot.
you.
It's a lot of nonsense is what I mean.
It's a lot of.
Correct.
Okay, but you don't have a signature on it from Gail or JC.
No, not at all. No.
Okay. I guess
But who
if they wanted to know it, and they gave it to us. But they
Right.
did.
Well, this is why I'm bringing it up. It's either, I'm just throwing it out, it's either an excuse and the program wasn't ready to be implemented in November when we voted on, and they said it was ready, fine. They never asked for the information, fine. They did ask for the information and didn't get the information, fine. Didn't follow up and re-request the information, okay, fine. But the truth has to come out there, like what is really going on? We have calls and everything else. We agreed and voted for them to have the money. All of us did. To say,
We voted on it in October and we wanted it implemented by.
oh, there you go. Okay, there you go. So the idea that, what, 2-3 months now and nothing's been done because I don't find that acceptable.
Until I think he came in 3 times in 2 weeks and I says, how many recruits do you have?
Yeah.
The number is always the same, 0.
He doesn't try to get, so it's not.
This goes to Gail because she's an EMS coordinator. So that program has to run through her because she is the EMS coordinator.
The meeting,
Yeah.
where we got stuff, nobody has asked me, and now I know they haven't asked.
Well, this is why I'm bringing it up. So it's on record that you guys, this is pretty much the first you're hearing about it. So it's, you know,
We approved the effort to try and do that.
Yeah.
If you can't get the bodies, what are they supposed to give you? The answer is they couldn't do it.
well, then we have to take a serious look at the fact
I
that,
mean, we didn't mandate them to do it. We approved them to try it.
right, okay. So as I told Sarah, I'll be very honest about it. It's nothing secret. I said, I have a big problem then that if there are dozens and dozens and dozens of hours being charged by an EMS coordinator, I told her right to her face, who are you coordinating? Or what's Gail coordinating? Who are you coordinating? If all these calls are missed, our residents are put at risk because it's all being shipped out to other, you know, departments and stuff. What are we paying an EMS coordinator and everyone at the fire hall for nothing that happens? It's ridiculous to me. I think it needs to be looked into. What is actually going on? I'm not saying there's any wrongdoing, but if there's a program on the table, you can't implement the program, it's being tossed that the board won't give us this information, so we can't do this, but yet you're still charging the township a lot of hours for coordinated EMS that doesn't exist.
We are looking at all of that, Timothy.
I'm just throwing it out.
And unfortunately, but yes, this is the works for a while. Pam's been helping out with looking at all of this.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's gonna change, and the whole problem with calls being turned over with EMS is we need an EMT.
Yep.
We need a qualified EMT, so we don't need Houghton Lake and Beaver Creek to meet us. And that's where I want to put and add, yes, here, a full-time EMT certified person instead of two people that gotta go out and can't administer anything other than an aspirin. Like that
So
makes.
then why did we approve a program that can't be implemented?
Which
with-
means people qualified.
They're saying this now.
It's very convoluted.
The original story that
Ron, keep on speaking up.
If Sarah doesn't have any questions, she can come in and ask us.
He doesn't have questions.
okay,
She gave you a bunch.
the original
Only
problem
from-
was that there were EMTs who were willing
Yeah.
to do this. It turned out there weren't.
Well, who said they were?
They said
The
they,
initial plan as presented to us that we approved was that they thought. they could get-
He presented this that he had.
he wants to be the people that will win in the country. But they,
Yeah, it didn't come to fruition, but I don't, okay.
Wow.
I-
Yep.
One other thing is,
She's gonna be feeding this in the next 6 months in that
yeah, we
fire station, so.
we are actively pursuing some solid advice in regards to how the fire department runs and recruitment. I can say that much. Until that happens, I can't tell you any more than that.
But I'm gonna say for the record too, this to me isn't about the board and it isn't about the fire department or Gail. This is about our residents.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Done.
Absolutely.
do you remember when we finished this thing? Do you remember? People in here, yes, and they were cheering.
Well, that's why
They were under the same delusion we were. We think they had some people.
yeah, okay.
Well, okay, so
We're gonna be in public comments in a second.
moving on.
No, go ahead. That's fine. I'm surprised you're still awake and stayed that long.
Somebody, I thought somebody, coming with a pop. When they claim, they repeatedly ask.
Right.
Any off. So, three half off. Take it for your discussion. And somebody else will not, but currently being thrown under the bus. We repeatedly asked the officer to take 50 cents, I would like, that's what it. You made so many emails, surprised me. Get a name, you want a name? Same contact.
I would love to soon as somebody signs it. I don't know. I have had so many run.
Wow.
I have had so many run-ins with, I say something to him, he says something to him, and it's already completely out. Did somebody?
That's what my
actually
point
ask
was, yeah.
Who requested this stuff that was never given to him? Right,
Yeah,
so if there's no name on that thing.
yeah. Well, obviously, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know how formal they wanted to make this or otherwise, but I mean, I guess they didn't even think about it. That's our job now, your job, his job, whose ever job, to reach out to them.
And on a rumor.
Well, I said like, so who they asked for this information, and that's just what they're saying. And it certainly wasn't the clerk. And now the treasurer says it wasn't him. We're the ones that do this payroll stuff.
And if you want information like that, you put it in writing or an email and you send it. You don't just say, hey,
Well,
I asked for this.
wait, getting off top, I don't care what protocol is in writing or otherwise. This is about the residents. Now that this is out there, why wouldn't anyone in the office go to Gail or JC and say, hey, we heard and talked about that you need this to start. This is about the people. Instead of sitting back, when you ask them.
This is,
Absolutely, I can. Absolutely, I'll get it. Yeah, absolutely.
if this is Sarah said, I asked Gail this. Right there, I'm not on board.
No, that's not what happened.
Then something's gotta get signed.
Okay. Yes, that I was invited to, yes. Oh, this has been going on for weeks, they claim. So I was invited to next month's, not their training meetings, but they have a meeting the first week of every
I
month.
think it's quite a stretch to say that somehow we are distracting from the fire department.
We're just trying to get someone to do one class. And that's
Right.
like.
Well, that's my point, which is why it's being brought up. If this is just kind of a hyped up, no one really maybe asked specifically for all this, and it's kind of an excuse or something, we need to feel this out. We
Right.
need to weed this out. We need to.
We're sitting here kicking people around who are not here. So somebody needs to sign something.
Yeah, I'm not kicking anyone.
Well, I mean, it leans towards point fingers.
No, they didn't say office staff. They said board members. Well, they're in the office. That's what I referenced. They're in the office. Anyone who would ask Ann as a secretary for this information is just a fool, in my opinion. They would know already she doesn't have that information. That would be ridiculous.
Oh, they should send it. They should, if they want.
All right. So let's wrap.
I wouldn't give it to Sarah Bonzak anyways. I wouldn't give any of that information to her.
Well, she works for the us. That's why.
She's a partner, a volunteer.
You can.
Gail approached me, JC approached me and said, hey, I need this information. Of course I'd give it to her.
This is getting too far. At the end of the day, I will get a signature. No, this is.
Should not be brought up. This should not be.
Absolutely disagree. When you have a problem with a program.
That's all you've got is the rumor that somebody said this, somebody said that.
It's a we bringing it to attention so that you guys are aware.
I know.
Don't
even bring it up.
There ain't enough candy in it.
Okay. Absolutely with the names.
Bottom line is, if Sarah is asking Gail this, she would need to write down, I asked her. And then it's up to Gail to say that happened or it didn't happen. That's where we gotta start. The rest of this doesn't mean anything till that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so get Sarah to sign something.
No, Gail has to sign this. She's the EMS coordinator. This is the information she needs.
I'm saying that Gail, where's the proof that Gail was asked any of this?
She didn't ask anything.
Okay.
It wasn't asked.
Yeah.
Gail willingly gave the information to Sarah because I talked to, you guys are making way too much out of it. I will go to the fire. Yes,
It's something that somebody's saying. We'll see.
absolutely. This is being way blown out,
Yeah.
way blown out.
That's fun. Okay, anybody got a closing, hopefully brief on fire department? Oh, okay,
Do you?
no, I'm,
Oh, I thought we. Oh,
okay, yeah, so that moves us to public comment on anything. Thank God.
Yeah, okay. First thing I would suggest that any board member or person who works in the office, if they receive a request to do things like that, they should get it in writing and signed. I have not heard anything. I don't know if Courtney has. The second thing is,
Don't,
Jen- I said, I don't, that's what I said. I don't know.
don't even use her name.
He's,
And usually, from what my experience has been, if you're going to hire somebody like an ordinance officer, the board sets up a committee and maybe two people and then maybe Robert. And those people interview that because some people get a little uneasy sitting in front of a board, sitting in front of all these people doing an interview. And then those people come back to the board and say, this is what it is, this is what we recommend, this is why. And then the people come into the meeting and introduce stuff. Just saying.
well, yeah, it's an easy time for the job, you know, easy about sitting in front of 20 people, how are they gonna go out and deal with?
That's okay, yeah, that's certainly a suggestion. I know what they did before was had all the people interested come in and do it in public, but it wasn't nailing them with questions. It was tell us about you. Why do you think you deserve this job? Kind of. Their resume would have details. We can do it. I mean, we'll get there.
Where to do?
Any other public comment?
Hmm.
Right ahead, sorry.
Where are you? Not fire department?
Right, yeah. Yeah, John Barley, Lyon Township. You know, relative to what Pam was saying, you know, when you have a lot of candidates, typically that is the way that you would do it. You know, you would interview people and then, you know, you'd have a job description. I don't know if we have a job description for our ordinance officer, but you typically have a job description. And then, you know, that you guys would want to put together as far as computer skills or what other things. You say these are desirable. But that way you don't have to listen to everybody and all of a sudden it's like, this guy is not, he just doesn't satisfy the requirements. So why are we spending our time in our board meeting doing that? So I would recommend that, you know, you do have a job description, you put it together, you know, here are some absolutes, here are some nice to have.
We do, don't we?
We do in so much as it was computer skills, people skills, and to follow up on signed.
Stuff in the proof?
Yeah,
It was no more cluttered details.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly the more effort you put in something like that makes a difference. But I think that I'm a little disappointed because we don't have an ordinance officer yet. I know it's a struggle in the area. You know, the energy that you guys have for the new ordinance, the STR and the septic and the, you know, the other things that are going. I mean, you need to be commended for that, but enforcement is going to be the issue with this group. And relative to listen to the discussions, you guys have different perspectives about how this is going to get done. And I would really like to see you guys talk about what the expectations for the ordinance officer are going to be, particularly in using the STM as an example, because you know, you have people changing in residences on a weekend. Okay, so who's going to check the numbers at that point? Are they going to do it? I mean, if it's a 3-day rental, they're coming in on a Thursday night and they're gone on Sunday. So are you going to even know? So and are you going to expect them to work weekends? You know, what are those expectations? And you know, so to implement some of the ordinances that you guys want to do, I support, but you got to back up and say, look, you know, we got to talk about first things first here. And so I really haven't heard any of that. And well, I have in a few meetings past, and I don't think you guys are all on the same page on that. And I don't think anybody wants to pay an ordinance officer to work all, weekends, but there's got to be some discussions about, do we need that? Police powers, how is that going to be enforced? And the teeth of what's going to happen. So, I did want to add that because I think that that's really, really important in some way, maybe putting the cart before the horse. So, I would like to see that. I do think that some of the discussions, the confusion that I'm hearing, and you guys all have lives, so I understand, and your expectations maybe when you volunteered to do this was, look, I'm not putting in 40 hours a week, I'm not putting in 60 hours a week, I'm putting in something less. But I do think that to avoid the stuff with the fire department, in October, somebody needs to say within the group, okay, this is Tim, this is your responsibility. You need to follow up on this, and this is yours. So that it doesn't continue on over months and people kind of forget about it. You're going to interview the ordinance officer, and that's we got two people, and that's who's doing this, and you've got to do that. And so I don't see any of those kind of assignments, but I think that you can avoid the confusion by adding more organization in that regard. Just my opinion. Again, you guys do your own thing, but I do think that communication seems to be an issue within the group. But when the meeting's over, people scatter like cats and go back to their lives, right? But you do have to put in more hours, maybe. I don't know. But again, that's just my opinion. I support what Steve said about the burials in the winter. I think we're too small to try and manage, the bodies in the winter. Certainly, I don't know. People have different philosophies about cremation, but you can store a vase over the winter. So if somebody poses a problem with the body and it's $4,000 or $5,000, well, cremation is an alternative at that point if they believe in that. So it might be something you might offer somebody. Last thing, as far as the meeting goes, I know the video, we talked about it, you guys are doing minutes. It is a publicly available, the video, people can watch it once it's put up on the website. Have you made an opinion about the files? There are multiple files, and I think is this Teams? Is that what's being used? Okay, because they're generated some files at the end once the recording stops. It's probably an M4A file, at least one of them, which is a transcription of that. And if that was available to the public, I would be interested in being able to download that, you guys, and show you what you might be able to do with minutes. We talked about it in one of the other meetings, and say, look, here's what you can generate out of that. Easily, you would still have to look at it, but if you would just allow maybe some of those files to be available to the public, I think it would be of some value. It's not going to expose you any more than watching a video.
Yeah.
So if you made some of that stuff available, I think would be a positive thing.
Ask it, because I thought, we talked about it before, and then I thought there was some kind of hang up. Because I had asked you to kind of get some information to me.
Yes.
Well, didn't we run into there was something that wasn't going to be smooth about that?
Well, the problem is versus if you're on a Zoom call or something and you're talking into your computer, the microphone on your computer, the audio is much clearer. And so, depending on, and that's where you kind of have to do an experiment with the file and see what you can do with it. And that's why I'm suggesting that.
Because you were gonna come back to me with different versions of audio, because everything I had heard and talked to people was this team sucked. And you said there was better. And I believe I asked you to try and, we could go that way, but the audio was the problem with condensing the files.
It is I don't recall having a task from that, but
Well, it was more like certainly interested, but that seemed to be the hang up, was it?
well, yeah, and so all I'm saying is that if you guys put oftentimes those files can be available. So if you wanted to put a file like that up, and available, it might be of some interest. In any case,
You can do that, right? You can. They're ridiculous.
She quit on what you're doing because it.
Yeah, we actually, it's coming back to me, because Zoom, the people yeah, Zoom,
and you're talking about team specific.
no, it was, actually, when we talked about it, was Zoom had a bad reputation, and Teams was supposedly worse. And then there was a third, I can't remember the name now, we were talking about this,
You
about,
got sent a file.
What I can tell you is that Zoom, using the 4A, the M4A file out of Zoom, I do it regularly. And then that file gets transcribed into text. And then it goes into what's called ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and it will convert, it will read that file and convert it. You can say, give me meeting minutes with action items to do. All right, and it'll come up with a bulleted item. I do that regularly.
can you
And-
do it without ours?
Well, that's why I was saying, the Zoom, you are generally speaking into your microphone on your computer, which is in front of you, just like I am right now in front of this microphone. Right?
Home echo problem.
And I don't really know. I would say that's probably not a problem. Because if you're getting good audio, but according to what Pam's saying is, and I don't know, she's got the experience with Teams and I have no experience with Teams.
Coming back to me, because
So-
we talked about that, the reason it might be so bad is this room. Always bouncing around in here.
Well, I don't know what else you guys are trying to do with the files. Pam could be doing other things and using other tools which make it, which cause a problem. And it could be an issue. I don't really know. All I'm saying is that if you guys put up an M4A file on the on the website, and I don't know if you would be interested or willing to do that, the video is there, which is probably, which you can watch, people can't download the MP4 file that's there, but in any case,
You can't do one for us, so we can.
if you want, I can come in and try and get a copy of the M4A file from you. That may be generated. You're gonna probably need, maybe, I don't know if Pam can do that or if one of your technical guys, but there's gonna be a file that should be generated from Teams. That if you want to send that, I'd have to come in and probably get it on a jump drive because it's a pretty big.
Thank you. I mean,
So
I thought the problem there was about this, the room and the microphones and the bounce noise.
well, I really don't think you should draw that conclusion without trying.
No, absolutely.
And so, anyway,
Sounds like you're interviewing for the.
I want you guys to be successful, okay? And, I think that, meeting minutes is certainly a good place to start. And I see people taking, notes here. And, if the meeting, and I know Greg's got plenty of stuff to do, some meeting minutes, I mean, again, they come off, you can get them done quickly. You can get assign an office person to do that. And all you have to do is look at them and say, yeah, are these right? Do these look correct and verify them? So,
If you can give us something, that'd be great. To me, the video was always
We
the.
gotta give him something.
Do you know,
I mean, if you can come in and use any of this, try and convert it into something that comes. It's accurate.
somebody needs to give me an M4A file out of this recording. Okay,
Once you do that, Pam?
That is.
You know.
Oh.
so maybe the VCs, not, no, not.
Well,
Maybe the
Half of the record, On the what?
Once it's done, yeah, you should be able to, this stuff is gonna be filed, it will be a digital file.
It's posted on the internet. You can't take one and play with it?
No, it's, no,
That's,
no.
Wow.
So, I can stop in and see what we can do. Are the Kodiak guys gonna be here anytime in the near future?
Yeah, but I think, maybe for the start of the month, might be good when they officially are taking over Kodiak, because I think you don't want to do the deal with DC3. We have too many.
Who actually set this up? The video recording, the equipment.
there was a couple of people working on it at various times. So that would have been, from computer repair and then, our current, AOO media. It was a collaborative effort to get a different amp and a different PA system.
You don't see the actual installation.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we got rid of the old stuff and put the new stuff on, got the new mics.
Is it being saved, on the server here?
Being saved on Teams.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, John, do you remember a couple of months ago, maybe even into October, you made a presentation to us and every one of us was interested. He says, my God, he says, it could be easier. It could be this way. It could be this way. And you know what? There's been so many things. I think maybe we dropped the ball a little bit, not getting back to you, because anything to make it easier and more accessible to the public.
Well, I didn't think you guys dropped the ball. It was just a suggestion. I think, you guys want to run with it and make your lives a little easier,
I
maybe.
think it came down to if you can solve the audio problems, we're all in.
Well,
But-
and there may not even be audio problems. I don't even know you can assume that.
Only that,
Trying.
the way that it is, the context is completely, Jay. You couldn't,
Yeah.
there are times where a decision in this meeting, in these meetings hinged on one word. You get that word wrong, it changes everything. I have not seen anything in how it converts it, and the people I talked to in Roscommon said they hate it too. It does not do a good job, so you were offering a third alternative.
If anything, if that is an issue, it'll probably hit that issue. I mean,
It's hard to say without just trying and someone will have to, someone will have, if you get a transcription, someone will have to kind of listen and make sure, verify that it's right. But in many ways, that's easier than having to write the minutes and do that just to verify. So anyway, Jane,
You're speaking in foreign language.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
I know.
Another public comment.
Marty Barta from Lyon Township. This will be kind of a far-fetched idea, but not, not too crazy, but we have a police officer on our board. We have a retired fire person on our board, who both are very passionate about their specific areas. And we have, if I remember right, we have an interim fire chief who might not be able to keep that position, and I'm not sure where that one stands at this point. No, it's been talked about. And we have EMT who can't seem to, the positions can't be fulfilled. And as a resident, I'm concerned because if I need a ambulance or I need fire and it doesn't get answered, that's very concerning to all of us, because none of us are, I don't think my hose will do very good on my house, and I don't have an AED in. Has anybody put aside their personal agendas, their personal opinions? This lake is comprised of 2 townships, and we have another township in this community that has a fire department and has a staff EMT. And have we ever considered or put together any kind of thoughts of at least entertaining the merging of those 2 things?
Yeah, that is yes.
Good. So maybe that's, and when you said something about you're investigating something, my hope is that you're investigating some sort of collaborative work with that.
I don't know where it is and it's probably none of my business, but
No, you're absolutely right, but there is a possibility of having an agreement with another township's fire department to be our primary. We're not there yet. But if you look down the road, that it's like a failsafe.
yeah.
Yes, certainly talked about.
If we cannot hire a certain amount of people, not volunteers, hire, pay. That is the only way we are going to attract people. It's it. People have jobs, they're volunteers. You know, they'll help out when they can, but in order to service the community, you need some full-time people. You do. And, you know, that's my opinion on it. That's what
No.
Gage has.
I agree 100% with you, Kevin, because everything's so costly nowadays. Everyone's like, well, aren't they supposed to be volunteer?
Yeah.
How many people up here, or anywhere for that matter, have the luxury of just sitting around to go on a call because they have families to feed, things to take care of? It's very costly out there. So I think it's a very special and what just a bunch of retirees, no disrespect, great. But we also need a younger, stronger force and presence. And a lot of people, I can't sit around and just wait for something. I have a house and 10 kids to take care of. Cats. I don't think
If you remember, John.
I have 9. I have 9.
No, we talked about this before because an option would be a millage to create a 24-hour EMS. Heck of a lot of money. How much support can you get? Can you pass that in a vote with all of the other residents involved? Like he said, it's almost like you got to switch over to paying people. So where's the money coming?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I do think that we have some things to offer. Garish, if you remember last election, Garish was trying to get approval to build a new fire station. We have, I mean, I'm not a professional fireman, never have been. I don't know what, but I look at that building and I think it looks pretty cool and it looks, you know, and we have a new fire truck. Is that something that we can offer?
You know,
Garish, in order for Garish to cover up? I don't know, but it's.
it is a simple matter to sign an agreement for a township to be our primary.
There's some legalities too.
In this day and age to get a millage, anything to do with fire department and police to pass. So then it's, you know, what's the middle ground? The middle ground is some sort of collaboration, which we already have mutual aid. You can step it up to where a different township knows they are our primary. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to flip that coin over and then go, what about Lyon Township's fire?
It's probably the newest one around this whole area.
And I mean, if you entered into an agreement with another township, what does that mean for the one we currently have? And, you know, I mean, to me, the main thing is if you try and get more money to do this, I don't know if it would pass. So what can we do somewhere less of that? And we are actively recruiting to try and figure out, we just again today went through, how can we offer vision and dental to our volunteer fire department personnel who could pay for it? Things that would attract people, younger people. All fire departments have this problem. Ours is acute.
Well, don't we also have another problem when we have an ordinance officer? And we have no police department. Well, we have
So we have state police.
the state police and the sheriff. I think that, and I love that they're nearby, you know, that they're there, but I'm not sure that their concerns are going to be for, you know,
They are.
noise violations and stuff when they've got some, you know, highways and, you know, some pretty serious things.
It's all part
What's that?
it's all part of their duties.
Yeah.
Is to
Yeah.
control Lyon Township and having, I'm not real impressed with Garish Township's fire, or police
Police department.
department.
Okay.
So I think we're covered. I don't think we need a police department.
Okay.
We need an ordinance officer, and perhaps with all the things coming on, maybe two people to do. the
And ordinance
ordinances.
officers, if they run into problems, call for backup or anything from the police.
These officers really aren't cops.
Right,
They're enforcing ordinances, and the same thing with cops. Cops can't enforce ordinances. Cops enforce laws. And so the two things are different. That's why a person with people skills would be a good thing to have. And then if they do have an issue, they can call the police for backup.
I will interject and say that 20-some years ago, this township passed a resolution authorizing the powers vested into an ordinance by state statute. Within that guiding statute from the state of Michigan, an ordinance officer has the right to go on site, issue citations, proceed with court proceedings for a situation, this, and this. In fact, I even went around and read some case law about this not too long ago. If, and you may disagree with me, but this is what the Supreme Court ruled and what I found online, that if there's a complaint and it gets, ugly, let's say in our township, under state statute and the guiding resolution that they passed 20-some years ago, our ordinance officer is allowed to act in the capacity to be the authoritative figure of that situation. Even if an outside person comes in from county, that ordinance officer still can control the situation. Not on everything, but this is why I've been saying for a long time, though, we have it in writing what an ordinance officer does. The township passed this resolution many, many years ago about what they can do. And it's not even a question and what the expectations is. I mean, and it was all approved by this township through state statute. So I don't even know why it ever comes up. Like, what does an ordinance officer do? We have it. Yeah.
There was a lot going on in the ordinance.
I think I might apply for the job, to be honest with you.
fine.
Thank you much. Okay, if there isn't any more public comment. So, that I will close public comment and I would make a motion that, let me back up here. So I made a motion to move the board comments, which did not pass. So we actually, did I offer an opportunity for board comments then, or did we just? No.
She did. And nobody stepped up. So now it's
Not for me then now. I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
second.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion on it? No. Okay, then all those in favor of adjourning at
2:45.
2:45 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. We out of here.
Stay for another half hour.
Yeah. Let's talk some more about something else.